Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Eruvin Daf Chav Zayin. We're at the Mishnah on the bottom of Chavav Amud Beis, 6 lines from the bottom, beginning with the new perik. Ba'koil ma'arvin mishtatfen. One may use any type of food to establish either an Eruv or a Shitaf Mavois, which is another form of Eruv. So you can use anything. Chutz min hamayim u'min hamelach, except for water or salt. Why? Explains Rashi. What is the basis for Eruv, and why indeed are these two things not suitable? Let's take a look at Rashi, right off to the left, beginning with the words, Ba'koil ma'arvin, says Rashi, Eruv v'chatzeros u'tchumen. So the Eruv Chatzeros, we know what that is, collection of the food, placing it in one of the homes within the courtyard, thereby merging together all the residents of this courtyard, making it into just one residence, and this allows them now to carry freely throughout this entire area. The Eruv Tchumen is placing some food outside the city, which becomes this person's Shabbos residence, and allows them to walk from there 2,000 Amma. Continues Rashi, Mishtatfen b'mavi is another form of Eruv. Instead of just the members of the courtyard collecting that food, it's going to be all the members of the various courtyards who access this joint alleyway, this mavi. They collect some food, place it into one of the courtyards, thereby merging together, making a partnership, so to speak, between all the members of the various courtyards, creating one singular usage area and allowing them now to carry freely throughout this entire area. So one can use any type of food for this purpose except chutz min hamayim u'min hamelach, except for water and salt. Why? Says Rashi, the lav midi de maznin. They're not considered to be proper forms of mazon, of sustenance. Why is that so crucial for the establishment of the Eruv? Says Rashi, the time of the Eruv. How does an Eruv work? It's going to be a very clear understanding of the concept of Eruv and Shituf, and it's going to be applied to the rest of the Besechta. Says Rashi, how does the Eruv work? He collects some food, suddenly all join together. The time of the Eruv mishum, the datoi v'dirasoi, b'makoy mizay noisafu. The mind, the focus, the attention of a person is directed at the location of his food. That's where his dira is, that's where his residence, that's where his dwelling is. He's focused at his food, which sustains him, which is his source of life. So once all the members of the Chatzar place their food into one of the homes, that becomes their joint residence. So they're all living in this home, because that's where their food is. This results in them all unifying into one rishus. It becomes just one singular usage area. Therefore they can now carry freely throughout this entire courtyard, because there's only one residence here. Same concept applies to Eruvin Tchumen. You place some food somewhere outside the city, that becomes your Shabbos residence. As though he's lying there, that becomes his makom shvisa, his place of residence. And from that location, he can walk 2,000 amis in every direction. So once we establish that the concept of Eruv is based on the fact that a person's mind, his focus, is directed at the location of his food, Hilkach, Dvar Mazon Beidan. It needs to be some form of significant substance here. It can't be just water and salt, which are not considered to be considerable sources of sustenance. They're not classified as mazon. So these two things are not suitable for Eruv. Continues the Mishnah. So again, Ba'kol ma'avin mishtatfen chutz min hamayim min hamelach. Va'kol nikach bekesef maser. This is another halacha pertaining to water and salt. One can take the money of maser sheni. So maser sheni is what's separated from the crop in the 3rd and the 6th year of Shemitah. You want to eat that food in Yerushalayim. For instance, if somebody's outside Yerushalayim, Torah allows him to transfer the kedusha of the maser sheni onto money, and eventually take that money up to Yerushalayim and purchase some food with it and eat it in Yerushalayim. So anything can be purchased, any food item can be purchased with that money, chutz min hamayim u'min hamelach, except for water or salt, as the Gemara will give us the reason. Continues the Mishnah with another halacha pertaining to water or salt. Hanoider min hamazon. If one undertook a commitment, he made a neder, a vow to refrain from all forms of mazon, of sustenance, he cannot eat anything except mutar b'melech u'mayim. He can eat salt or water, which are not considered to be mazon. So the first and third halacha are based on the same concept, that salt or water are not considered to be mazon. The second halacha regarding maser sheni, that's based on another concept. It doesn't fit the formula the criterion of what is needed in order to allow it to be bought with Ma'aser Sheni money, as the Gemara will explain. Continues the Mishnah, Ma'arvin l'nazar b'yayin. If one wishes to establish an Eruv Tchumen for a Nazar, one who made a vow to refrain from wine, he can even use wine for the Eruv Tchumen. Explains Rashi, although it's not suitable for him, he can't consume the wine. Nevertheless, since wine is considered to be mazon, a substantial form of sustenance, and it is suitable for your average person, for your ordinary person, the non-Nazir individual, therefore the Chacham allowed even the Nazir to use this for his Eruv. Ul Yisrael b'truma, likewise Yisrael can make an Eruv Tchumen using truma, although he himself cannot consume the truma. Some chasami b'chulin. Yisrael can only use chulin, a non-truma product, for his Eruv. Continues the Mishnah, Ul Kohen b'beis hapras. A Kohen who cannot become tummy, but he can place his Eruv Tchumen in a beis hapras, this field which was overrun, the grave was overrun within it, was plowed over, and midrabanan, the Kohen cannot enter that, for concern that he might touch a bone and become tummy. But he can place the Eruv Tchumen in the beis hapras. Rashi explains, because theoretically there is a way to get in there, by blowing his way in, making sure there are no bones in his way. Therefore he can go ahead and place the Eruv in there. Rabbi Da'imer, afilu bein akvaris, even in between the actual graves, in a cemetery, a Kohen could have the Eruv placed on his behalf. Why? Because he'll have access to it. Theoretically, he can get in there. He can create a partition, Rashi explains, he'll bring along a portable mechitza to intersect between him and the cemetery, and between him and the grave. And go ahead and access and eat his Eruv. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda maintains he can place it even in Beis HaKvaros. So in summary, we have two parts of the Mishnah. We have a halacha regarding mayim and melech, water and salt. One cannot make an Eruv with these two things. One cannot purchase these with Ma'aser Sheni money. That's not included in a neder. If one undertakes a commitment not to eat mazon, mayim and melech are not included. We have the second portion of the Mishnah which tells us even a Nazir can use wine to make his Eruv. Yisrael, regarding Truma, we have machlokes. A Kohen can place his Eruv in a Beis HaPras. Regarding a Beis HaKvaros, we have a machlokes. Continues the Gemara. On Rabbi Yochanan, ein lemeidim min haklois. Even when the Tana sets forth a general rule, we can't conclude conclusively from the words of the Tana. Perhaps there are some exceptions to the rule. We know every rule has an exception. So ein lemeidim min haklois, we cannot derive conclusively from a klal set forth by a Tana. Even when the Tana goes ahead and expresses an exception, he says, well, this is the general rule, and these are the exceptions. We can't even draw a conclusion from that. Perhaps he omitted something from the list of exceptions. Let's take a look at Rashi inside, which is 3 lines from the top. Whenever the Tana sets forth a general rule, we don't say it's precise and exact. Sometimes you have a klal which is imprecise. Perhaps there are some things which are not included in that generalization. Come on, as the Gemara will bring us some examples upcoming. Even when the Tana specifies this is the rule and these are the exceptions, even there we can't be sure that it's end all. Perhaps you can say since he issues that exception, he says this is the rule and this is the exception, perhaps that gives us room to think that he was being accurate and precise. Even so, we cannot conclude from this the Dilma Shire. Perhaps he omitted something from that list. He didn't exclude everything that was meant to be excluded. Let's get back to the Gemara. So you can't learn from the klal. You can't draw a conclusion, absolute conclusion, even from a generalization of a Tana. And even when the Tana specifies, this is the exception, because perhaps he left something out of that list. Says the Gemara, the fact that Rabbi Yochanan begins by saying you can't learn from the klal, and then he says even when there is a chutz which is stated by the Tana, apparently he's not referring to our Mishnah, because our Mishnah has chutz. Mishnah begins by saying you can use anything for the Eruv except chutz from water and salt. So Rabbi Yochanan begins and he says you cannot learn from a klal, and then proceeds and says even in a time when it says chutz. So apparently the opening portion of that Rabbi Yochanan statement, you can't learn from the klal, is not referring to our Mishnah, because our Mishnah has chutz. Says the Gemara, Medika Amar, Afilu b'makav shneim b'chutz. The fact that Rabbi Yechon begins and says, you can't learn from a klal. That's number one. And number two, even when there's a chutz involved. So apparently the first part of Rabbi Yechon's statement, you cannot learn from a general klal, is not referring to our Mishnah. Because our Mishnah is included in the second portion of Rabbi Yechon's statement. Because our Mishnah has chutz. So the first part of Rabbi Yechon's statement, what is it referring to? What do we have an example? Where the Tana sets forth a klal without a chutz. And we're not meant to conclude from there. Apparently, the lav hachakoi, apparently the first portion of Rabbi Yechon's statement is not referring to our Mishnah. So what is the example of Rabbi Yechon's statement? Where do we have a Tana which issues forth a klal without a chutz? And that's what Rabbi Yechon is referring to. You cannot conclude conclusively from a klal mentioned in the Mishnah. Hey Chakayu, what is he referring to? Where is it pertaining to? Hasam Kai, it's pertaining to a Mishnah in Kedushin. Kol mitzvahs asay shazman grama, any mitzvahs asay, a positive command which is time related. Anoshim chayavin, v'noshim turis. Men are obligated and women are pater. Vishlei azman grama, any mitzvahs asay which is not time dependent. Echad noshim v'echad anoshim chayavin. That's incumbent on both women and men. So this is the Mishnah in Kedushin. Says the Gemara, is that an absolute rule? Uklolahu? To call mitzvahs asay shazman grama, noshim turis, any positive mitzvah which is time dependent. Only men are chayiv and noshim are pater? Is that an absolute rule? We have three examples of mitzvahs which are time related. Eating matzah the first night of Pesach. Simcha, being joyous and happy throughout the Yom Tov. Hakel, that's the mitzvah to gather together Klal Yisrael after the Shemitah year, bring them to the Beis Hamikdash, and have the king get up on the platform and read from Sefer Devarim. So these are three examples of mitzvahs. The mitzvahs aseh shazman gramu, they're time-related mitzvahs. V'nashim chayavis, and we know specifically nashim achayiv. Rashi brings this source for all three mitzvahs. How we know that nashim achayiv in these mitzvahs. So we have exceptions to the rule. How does the Tana set forth a general rule that mitzvahs that are time-dependent are only applicable to men, not to women? We have three examples of mitzvahs aseh shazman grama, which apply to women equally as men. Says the Gemara, "V'chol mitzvahs aseh shlo yazman grama nashim chayavis." And conversely, regarding a mitzvah say that's not time dependent, women are chayiv in all those mitzvahs. Harei Talmud Torah, Pirya v'Ribya, Pidyon Ben. We have three examples: learning Torah, being fruitful, having children, and Pidyon Ben, redeeming their firstborn child. These are three examples of mitzvahs that are not time related. The mitzvahs that say shelo yazman grama v'nashim turis. Nevertheless, women are pater from these mitzvahs. So we see there are exceptions to this rule of the Mishnah. Indeed, we cannot conclude from a generalization of a Tana. We can't learn from there. Even when the Tana states the word chutz. So this Mishnah in Kedushin is an example of the first portion of Rabbi Yechanan's statement. This is an example of a Mishnah which gives us a rule. It doesn't speak about chutz. It gives us a general rule, and we have exceptions to that rule. So Abaye, some say it was Rabbi Yirmiyah who said that we have another example of a klal where actually the Tana sets forth a general rule with an exception, with a chutz. Nevertheless, it turns out that there is something omitted from that list. The Mishnah in Maseches Zovin says like this: Oid klal acher amru. There's an additional rule which Chazal set forth: Kol shenisa al gabi azav. Tame, anything which is carried upon the zav, meaning the zav is carrying it, it becomes tame. It's called tumas hesed. It's an indirect association between the zav and that item. He's carrying it. V'chol sha'zav nisa olav tar. Anything which is carrying the zav on it is tar. Meaning, anything which the zav is sitting on or standing on is tar, except chutz, min haroi lemishkaf. Anything which is suitable for lying on it, for instance, a bed, a mattress, moishav, anything which is intended for sitting on it, for instance, a chair, adam, or a person. These three things, these three categories, something which is roy for mishkav, moishav, and a person, they, by carrying izav on them, become tumah, a very stringent form of tumah. They become an avatum. But something just like a regular kli, if he decides to sit on a pot, that doesn't attain this stringent form of tumah. So we have a rule with some exceptions. Says the Gemara, Is there nothing else that belongs in this list? Meaning, the Tana tells us, anything which carries a zav remains Torah except for these three types of things. Don't we have more to include in this list? Vayikam merkav. We have something which the zav rides on, which also belongs in this halacha. It also becomes tamei through the zav. Says in 1 second. Hi merkav heichidami. What type of merkav are we speaking about? If the zav is actually sitting on it, hainu moishav. That's included in moishav. The Tana discusses moishav. Anything which the zav sits on it, which is suitable, which is intended for this usage, becomes tamei. So it's already been included in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Anan hachikamina. What we mean is as follows. Ha'ika gaba de ukfa. We're not speaking of the actual saddle. We're speaking of the gaba de ukfa, this handle, this wooden handle of the saddle, which the zav is not actually sitting on, and that also becomes tamei. This very stringent form of tumah. The Tana is learned in the Brisa. Ha'ukaf tamei moishav. The actual saddle, that becomes tamei moishav because the zav is sitting on it. Va'atafas, and the wooden handle of that saddle, tamei merkav. That attains a tumas merkav. It's not something which is actually sitting on it, but since it's part of the riding accessory, that becomes tamei and it's called merkav. So why didn't the Tana include this? This is another example of something which attains this stringent form of tumah. So it's not just mishkav, moishav, and adam; it's also merkav. Elul shmamina. Apparently, we hear from this, one cannot draw an absolute conclusion, even from a rule set forth by a Tana. Even in an instance where the Tana gives us a list of exceptions. Such as in this case, where the Tana says, anything the zav sits on doesn't become tamei except for something which is intended for sitting, lying, or a person. The Tana evidently left out another item, which is the merkav. Amar Avina, Rav Nachman, some say it was Rav Nachman Afanana, Mitanina. We'll give you another example of this from our very Mishnah. One can use any type of food for eruv or shituf, chutz, except for water, and salt. Now the Tana sets a rule, a klal, and also gives us exceptions to the rule. But he apparently left something out. V'suleka. Is there nothing else that belongs on that list of exceptions? V'yika kmeina pitris. What about these forms of mushrooms, which are not suitable for eruv? Why didn't the Tana include it in the list? Elo shmami. No, apparently, we conclude from here, one cannot derive absolutely from a klal, even when the Tana specifies and gives us a list of exceptions, perhaps he has omitted something from that list. Continues the Gemara. Hakol nikach b'kesef maser. Any type of food can be purchased using money from maser sheni, except for water or salt. Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yosef Chanina. We have a machlekes between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yosef Chanina regarding the following statement. Chad masnei eruv. One of these two, we're not sure which one, he applied the following statement to the halacha of eruv, v'chad masnei maser, and the other one applied the following statement to the halacha of maser sheni. Explains the Gemara. Chad masnei eruv. One of them applied the following statement to the halacha of eruv. Lo yishanu. The fact that the Mishnah tells us one cannot establish an eruv using salt or water. Lo yishanu, that's only said elamayim fnei atzmai. If he's using water on its own, umelach b'fnei atzmai, salt on its own. That's not considered to be a significant form of sustenance, not regarded and classified as mazon. The ein ma'arvin, they cannot be used for the eruv. Avol be'mayim umelach. But if one mixes together the water with the salt, it makes salt water, which is suitable for a dip for your bread. Ma'arvin, that can be used for the eruv. Rashi explains, since he can dip his bread into it, that's also considered to be mazon because it aids and assists in the eating of the bread, and therefore we regard it as well as, classify it as mazon. So this is one opinion, that salt water is suitable for eruv. V'chad masnei maser. The other shita, he applied this statement on the halacha of maser sheni as follows. Lo yishanu. This that the Mishnah tells us one cannot purchase with money from maser sheni either salt or water. Elo mayim ifnei atzmai. It only pertains to water on its own. Umelach ifnei atzmai, or salt independently. The ein nikchen, they cannot be purchased with money from maser sheni. Aval mayim umelach. But if you mix together the water and the salt, it's salt water. That is suitable to be purchased. Nikchen b'kesef maser, you can buy it with maser sheni money. Says the Gemara, Man de masni amaser. The opinion, the shita that applied this concept to Maaser Sheni and allowed salt water to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money, he considers this to be a serious, a substantial form of mazon, of sustenance. Koshkin Erev, certainly when it pertains to Erev, that is suitable for the establishment of the Erev. Uman de masni Erev. However, the shita that applied this concept strictly to Erev, it's strictly Erev. Aval Maaser, but pertaining to Maaser Sheni, it's not suitable to be purchased Maaser Sheni money, even if you mix together salt and the water. My time of why? Peira be'inon. For Maaser Sheni, we require something to be considered a fruit, a pri, meaning a produce from another produce. As the Gemara will explain to us later, it needs to be produced, an offspring, from something which in itself is an offspring of something else, as opposed to salt or water, which don't fit that criteria. Therefore, this opinion only applied this halacha to Erev. Salt water is considered to be enough of a form of sustenance for Erev. But when it comes to Maaser Sheni, you need to fit, you need to conform to different types of criteria. And salt water does not fit that criteria. Continues the Gemara, Ki Asa Rabbi Yitzchak. When Rabbi Yitzchak came, Masni Amaser. He applied this statement, that salt water is suitable, he applied it to Maaser Sheni, allowing this form of food, this salt water, to be purchased from money of Maaser Sheni. Meisvei, the Gemara is the Kashmar Brisa on Rabbi Yitzchak, who allowed Maaser Sheni money to be applied to salt water. The Brisa says, Heyed Rabbi Ben Gadish of Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Ben Gadish testified before Rabbi Lezer as follows: Shal Beis Abba, in my father's home, my household, sir, they would purchase sir, which is fish brine, bekesef maaser, with Maaser Sheni money. Amar Lezer, Rabbi Lezer responded, perhaps what you heard, what you witnessed, what your household was accustomed to doing was only Ella kishekirve dogim muravim behen, when you had the innards of the fish mixed in and dissolved in this brine. Since there's some fish matter there, a substantial form of a fish in this brine, it's not merely the drippings, the salt dripping from the pickled fish, but it actually contains the innards of the fish, which dissolved into this brine. That's considered to be a form of a fish product, and therefore that indeed can be purchased with Maaser Sheni money, but not merely the tzir that you described, which is merely the brine of the fish. That's Rabbi Lezer's shita. Says the Gemara. Now even Rabbi Ben Gadish, Rabbi Ben Gadish, Loi Kamar, he only said a little bit tzir. He only allowed tzir. He was referring to the fish brine, the shumna de peri, because it contains some of the fat extracts of that fish in it. So since it has some form of fish extract in the brine, he considered it to be significant enough and allowed it to be purchased, testified that in his household they allowed it to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money on account of that added ingredient, the remnants, the extracts of that fish. But just simply water with salt, simply salt water, that's not enough. That's not considered to be significant enough to allow it to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money. So in summary, we have Rabbi Ben Gadish who allows fish brine to be purchased because it has some of the shuman of the fish in it. Rabbi Lezer disagrees. He says you need to have a more substantial form of fish in there. You need to have the innards of the actual fish dissolved within it. But all agree, all agree, strictly salt water is not suitable to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money. This is in contrast to Rabbi Yitzchak, who just told us that once you mix the two together, salt and the water, creates salt water, that can be purchased from Maaser Sheni money. Amar Rabbi Yosef, apparently Rabbi Yitzchak, when he allows, he's speaking about a case, when he went ahead and he dripped some oil into this salt water. So he agrees that just plain salt water is not suitable to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money. It's not considered to be it's not a fruit, it's not a product of another product. But once he puts some oil in there, oil certainly is suitable to be purchased from Maaser Sheni money. And therefore, that allows it to be purchased, this entire salt water, from Maaser Sheni money. Once there's oil in there, so what's basically telling us salt water can be purchased, he's purchasing it on account of the oil within it. So what's the chiddush for Rabbi Yitzchak? Like Tzricha, says the Gemara, apparently we're speaking about Shenosan Dmei Mayim U'Melech B'Havla. He paid extra, just a little bit of oil in there, and he paid much more than the actual value of the oil. Apparently, he meant to include the cost of the actual salt water as well. Shenosan Dmei Mayim U'Melech B'Havla. He paid for the water and the salt, B'Havla, including it. Havla means it's swallowed. It means it's included in the price of the oil. So although he's paying more for the oil than it's actually worth, because he's including also the water and the salt, Rabbi Yitzchak is teaching us that is okay. That's allowed. Because once there's something that is suitable to be purchased for Ma'aseh Sheni money, in this case the oil, so the actual purchase is directed primarily at the oil. The fact that he's paying an additional amount of money, he's including also the cost of the water and the salt, that's called havla, and that's considered to be secondary to the oil in this case. The purchase is directed at the oil, and the other stuff comes along with it. And that's allowed. So in summary, at this point in the Gemara, we went as follows. Regarding purchasing something from Ma'aseh Sheni money, just plain water or just plain salt, all agree that's not suitable. Regarding water and salt mixed together with oil, all agree that's okay. Regarding the brine with a little bit of the fish fat, which is included in it, we have a machlekes. According to Rido and Gadish, that's allowed. According to Blez, that's not. All agree. We have the sear, which is the brine of fish, together with the kirvei dagam, the innards of the fish, mixed in and dissolved in it. All agree. There's a significant amount of fish product in there, and therefore allows it to be purchased from Ma'aseh Sheni money. Okay, so getting back to the concept of havla, you're purchasing something which is suitable to be purchased, but you're including in that price, including also the cost of something which is not really independently suitable to be purchased. And that's allowed. Says the Gemara, really? Ubavlo mishori? One can go ahead and include something else within the purchase price. And yes, Vatanya, as we learned in the price. Ben bag bag oimer. He explains the pasuk as follows. The pasuk here is regarding purchasing food with money from Ma'aseh Sheni. And the pasuk begins by saying, I'm just going to read from the side, V'nosata kesef b'chol hashatav nafshecha. You can purchase anything that you would desire with the money of Ma'aseh Sheni. And then the pasuk itemizes. So the pasuk begins with a generalization. You can purchase any type of food. Then the pasuk goes into a list. About bakar, large animals, about soin, small animals, about yayin, wine, about shecher, old wine. The pasuk includes another generalization. You can purchase anything that you desire. So the kasha is, once the pasuk introduces us and says, well, anything can be purchased with Ma'aseh Sheni money, why go into detail? Why list these four things? Apparently there's a chiddush here. The pasuk is teaching us something by listing to us these four things. Says Ben Bagbog as follows. Each thing is coming to teach us something. And they're all based on the concept of havla. Going to include in the purchase price, going to include even something which is generally not suitable, not allowed to be purchased with Ma'aseh Sheni funds independently. But since it's being included with something which is suitable to be purchased, that's okay. Says the pasuk, Ba Bakar, this is the first of the four items on the list. Melamed, this teaches us, Shaloikin Bakar Agav Oyer. One can purchase the large animal together with its skin. Although skin is not edible, it's not fit for human consumption. But since you're buying the animal for its meat, you can include in the purchase price the additional value of the oir of the skin. Although you're really paying for the skin, but it's indirectly. It's secondary to the purchase of the meat. You purchase the whole thing in tandem. And then as Rashi explains, certainly the skin is not considered to be kadosh with kedushas Ma'aseh Sheni. You go ahead and use it for your ordinary usages. So that's the first word of bak. Ubet soin, what is that coming to teach us? Melamish aloichin soin agav gizas. You can purchase the small animal, for instance, the sheep, together with its wool. Ube yayin, that teaches us melamish aloichin yayin agav kankanai. One can purchase wine together with its container. And you can include the value of the container in the purchase price of the wine, and then use the container for ordinary purposes. Uba sheichar, this is old wine. What is this coming to teach us? Melamed shaloichen temet mishechmitz. So temet is this beverage. You take some water, mix it together with either the residue, the wine residue, shmarim, or the pits of the wine. So then you go ahead and you leave it for a while until it ferments. And although it's mostly water, but since in that water is contained some of the fruit extract of the grapes, you can go ahead and purchase that whole thing in its entirety, and include even the cost of the water. And that's called havla. So we have 4 examples of havla. So indeed, this is the source of this concept of havla, as long as there's something there which is suitable to be purchased with ma'aser sheni money, such as in our case where we have the oil contained in the salt water. You're purchasing the oil, and the salt water is just secondary at this point to the oil. So although you're including the value of the salt water in the purchase price, that's okay. That's called havla. Continues the Gemara. Oh, Rabbi Yochanan, I have some difficulty with this pasuk. Man de metargam li bebakar. Whoever has the ability to explain to me, what's the purpose of the Torah mentioning bakar? Aliba de ben bagbag. According to this approach of ben bagbag, where each word here is coming to teach us something. Something, another element, another aspect of the concept of havla. I understand everything else except for the word bakar. That seems to be extra and unneeded. So whoever has the ability to explain it to me, out of respect, says Rabbi Yochanan, my vilna mane abasrei. I will carry his clothing after him, to the bathhouse. I'll be like his Talmud. I'll serve him. Now, what was Rabbi Yochanan's difficulty? My time. What is the reason? What was his hardship? Kulu tzrichi, all the words, meaning everything else on that list is indeed needed and necessary. Lavar mi b'bakar d'lo yitzarach, except for bakar, which doesn't appear to be necessary. Says more my tzrichi, why they all need it. As follows. Let's analyze. Let's go down the list. The Torah will only said b'bakar, which teaches us, well, you can purchase the animal together with the skin. Havamina, perhaps I would say, bakaru, certainly you can purchase the bakar together with its skin. The good for you. It's one. It's part and parcel of the animal. As Rashi says, you can't go ahead and strip the animal of its skin while it's alive, certainly. So that certainly is included together with its meat. But to purchase, for instance, the sheep together with its wool, it's a lot of good for you. It's not really an integral part of the animal. It's not one entity. You can go and share the wool. Perhaps that cannot be included in the purchase. Perhaps that is not included in this halacha. That's why the Torah specifies even tzayin. Okay? So you understand, bakar, that's for the skin, and tzayin is the additional chiddush of the wool. Because Rachmana b'tzayin, had the Torah only stopped there, I would say, okay, b'tzayin agav gizasa. Hava amina, I would say, fine. You can purchase the sheep together with its wool. Hava amina mishum d'mechumer, I would say, well, that's special because the wool is connected to the animal. So, at the end of the day, it's really part and parcel of the animal. Therefore, it can be included in the purchase. But the wine al-gav kankane together with its container, these are 2 separate elements, 2 separate objects. Perhaps in that case, I cannot include the kankan with the wine. That's why the Torah has to specify even yayin, which teaches us this halach. Now, if the Torah would stop there, because Rachmana b'yayin, havamina, perhaps I would say, mishum dahayin turuse. There, the container is included in the purchase of the wine because the container actually safeguards the wine, keeps it fresh, etc. Therefore, it goes together with the wine. But this beverage, even though it fermented, since it's mostly water, the kiyub ba'almahu, it has just a very light flavor, a very weak flavor of the fruit in it. Perhaps that's not significant enough to allow purchasing this entire beverage, including the water and the purchase price of this very weak flavoring. Perhaps there I can't apply this concept. That's why the Torah needs to specify sheikha, which teaches us even this great chiddush. Now, let's go back. Let's go backwards. Let's start from sheikha, okay? So we understand why, in this order of events, the Torah needed to specify everything. But let's go backwards. Because rachmana b'sheikha. Now, if the Torah would have specifically said sheikha, meaning start from the bottom, only list the word sheikha. Havamina, then I would say, my sheikha, dveila ki'ilis. Sheikha is not coming to teach us that one can go ahead and mix together the flavoring with the water, teaching us that one can purchase this type of beverage. Perhaps the word sheikha is coming to teach us that one can purchase a fig, dveila ki'ilis, from this location, which has it connected to sheikha because it had the ability to, it had a similar effect to wine. It caused dizziness, etc. Had a slight intoxication effect like wine. So perhaps only that can be purchased with Maaseh Sheni money. The Peru, because it's a fruit, it's a product, it's a fruit from a fruit, as we're going to see in the Gemara soon. It conforms to the guidelines, the criteria of what may be purchased from Maaseh Sheni money. Torah is teaching us even this type of fruit, perhaps I would think due to its poor quality, because it has this adverse effect on the person, it's not suitable. Torah teaches us no, even this can be purchased. But a concoction of mostly water with some flavor, that not. But for instance, to do havla, to include something which is not suitable within the price of something which is suitable, that whole concept doesn't exist. For instance, yain al gav kankana, to purchase wine together with its container, perhaps that's not acceptable. That's why Torah has to go and say yain. So we're going backwards up the list. Let's start from shecher. That itself would not be sufficient to teach us any halacha of avla. That's why Torah needs to go teach us yain, which teaches us why. Why can we purchase the wine together with a container? Apparently, havla is mutter. Because Rachmana yain agav kankane. Now if the Torah would only say shecher and yain, so certainly I would know havla is mutter. Why then does the Torah say yain? Apparently the Torah is teaching us something. You can include even something which is not suitable, like the container within the price of the wine. Yain agav kankane. But I would say that's unique, the hainu tiruse, because the container there provides security, it washes, safeguards the wine. Therefore, it goes together with the wine purchase. But to allow one to purchase a sheep together with its wool, perhaps the wool doesn't relate, doesn't safeguard the sheep. That's not needed for the sheep, and therefore it's not considered to be one and the same entity. Perhaps that cannot be included in the purchase price of the sheep. That's why Torah needs to specify tzoin. One can purchase an animal even together with its wool and include it in the price. So now, once we know it can include even wool, which is not really an integral part of the animal, it's not like the animal's skin, even that can be included in the purchase price. That leaves us with the question, ba bakar lamali. So why then did the Torah need to specify bakar? To teach us that the skin can be included? Certainly. Once you include even the wool, which is not really an integral part of the animal itself, in the purchase price, certainly the skin can be included. So why did the Torah need to speak about bakar, which is simply coming to teach us the skin? So that was Rav Yechon's difficulty. Why does the Torah need to mention bakar? Says the Gemara, one second, perhaps you'll say that bakar is necessary. The Torah had not specified bakar. Perhaps I'll reinterpret our derivation. Perhaps I would say, soin, when the pasuk says you can purchase the soin, al gav oira in. Torah means you can include the price of the skin, which is an integral part of the animal. Al gav gizos, but together with its wool, that can't be included, because that's further removed from the animal. That's not really part and parcel of the animal. So, perhaps the word soin will only teach us the skin, and not the wool. That's why the Torah needs to say bebakar. Kasser rachman bebakar lasuye oirei. So the word bebakar is coming to tell us the basics, because bakar only has skin, it doesn't have wool. So that's teaching us, number one, skin can be included. Now once we know step number one, let's go further to tzoyin. Iyatele tzoyin. Now tzoyin is superfluous, it's extra. Apparently it's coming to teach us an additional halach. Not only the skin of the bakar, lasuye gizasa. It's coming to include even the wool of the tzoyin. So perhaps that's why the Torah finds it necessary to list both. Number one, the bakar, to teach us the basic halacha that skin is included. Now once we know that, let's go further to tzoyin, which is adding another additional halacha, even the wool is included. But if not for the fact that the Torah specified bakar, perhaps I would say that tzoyin is only coming to teach us the skin of the animal, but not the wool of the animal. It's only after the pasuk specifically says bakar, which already speaks about the skin. Now apparently tzoyin is an additional angle to allow even the wool. Says more, that's not the case. Because if the Torah would not have said bakar, even if the Torah would have omitted the word bakar, I would never come to make this mistake. I would never say, well, only the skin of an animal is included in the word tzoyin and not the wool. Why? Well, you have a amina. There will be no room to think, to say tzoyin al gav oira in al gav gizas aloi. That the tzoyin can only be purchased together with its skin, but not together with its wool. There will be no room for such a misunderstanding. Why? Because why did the Torah pick tzoyin if it's only referring to skin? Tzoyin has not only skin, it has wool. The Torah should have better chosen an animal that only has skin. Apparently the Torah is teaching us not only skin can be included, also the wool. It says more Dim Kain, because the Torah is limiting it only to skin. The Torah should have just said bakar, which only has a skin. And that's all the Torah wants to include. To merely accolade sign. Meaning, if that's the case, that only skin is included, then the word sign is an unnecessary example. It's misleading. It makes things unclear. Because sign features not only skin, but also wool. If all you're allowing is skin, then why mention sign at all? Should have said bakar, which only has skin. Apparently, since the Torah did choose to use the word sign, which has the wool, which has the wool, and this indicates to us you can purchase it sign even together with its wool, which is not as integrally part of the animal like its skin. Now we have difficulty with bakar, which seems to be superfluous and unnecessary. But bakar lamali, why does the Torah mention bakar? Certainly, if you can purchase the tzayin together with its wool, which is not part and parcel of the animal like its skin, even the wool can be included. Is there a need to speak about the skin of the bakar? So once the Torah specifies tzayin, which apparently is referring to the wool of the animal as well, so if that can be included, certainly the skin can be included. So why even discuss bakar, which is only an animal that has skin? Now we understand Rabbi Yochanan's difficulty. That is the meaning of Rabbi Yochanan's statement, Man de matargamli, but bakar, one who will come forth and interpret for me. The reason why the pasuk says babakar aliba ben bagbag, according to this approach of ben bagbag, that each word here has meaning. It's teaching us something regarding this concept of havlah. Whoever explains this to me, I will carry his clothing after him to the base hamercha, to the bathhouse. So in summary, we learned about the concept of havlah. One purchases a food item which is suitable to be purchased from Ma'aser Sheni money, but it can include in the purchase price even something which is generally unsuitable. We have 4 examples in the pasuk. Each one is coming to teach us a different angle, a chiddush regarding this concept. But bakar will teach us the animal together with its skin, but tzayin together with its wool, but yain together with its container, and b'sheichar it can purchase that watery beverage, even though it only has a small percentage of fruit extract. You can purchase that fruit extract and include in the price the water as well. So now the Gemara will proceed to provide for us the guideline, the formula, the criteria, what determines which food is suitable to be purchased from the funds of Ma'aser Sheni. Now earlier we had a discussion regarding the tzir, which is the fish brine. According to one shita, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, that is fit to be purchased from Ma'aser Sheni money due to the fact that it contains even just a small element of fish extract, the shumna, the pera, the fattiness of the fish. That is sufficient to regard this entire thing like a fish product. Whereas Rabbi Lezer disagrees. He holds we need a more substantial amount of fish product in this. We need to have the kirvei dogim, the innards of the fish, mixed in and dissolved in this brine. But both shitas hold that, generally speaking, fish can be purchased with funds of Ma'aser Sheni. Whereas there are other Tanaim, which will be cited in the upcoming Gemara, who disagree. They hold that fish are not on the approved list. Says the Gemara, but my kamifliki, what is the basis of their machlekes between, on the one hand, we have Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, Rabbi Lezer, who hold that fish can be purchased, in contrast to the other Tanaim, V'hanei Tanoi del Kaman, who hold that fish cannot be purchased from funds of Ma'aser Sheni. Explains the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, Rabbi Lezer, Darshi Ribuye Umiuti. They apply the formula of drasha called Ribuye Mi'uti, which is one of the 13 different formulas, Yud Gimel Midah Shatir and Dreshas Behem, 13 methods of deriving from Torah Shebechsav. So they're going to apply the concept of Ribuye Mi'uti. V'hani Tanaim, and the other Tanaim that disagree, hold that fish cannot be purchased, they are going to apply a different formula, Darshi Kloli Uprati. Now they're both going to apply their respective formulas to the pasuk which we mentioned earlier, which describes for us what can be purchased with funds of Ma'aser Sheni. Explains the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, Rabbi Lezer, Darshi Ribuye Mi'uti. They apply the formula of Ribuye Mi'uti to the pasuk which says, "V'nosata kesef b'choil asher ta'ava nafshecha." You can go ahead and purchase with the Ma'aser Sheni money anything that you desire. any food item. Riba. Apparently the pasuk here is coming to include. It's a very inclusive statement. Purchase anything you desire. That's the initiation of the pasuk. The pasuk proceeds, provides us with a detailed list. Bakar b'tzayin, animals. B'yayin b'sheicher, wine. So here the pasuk is describing to us what can be purchased. Bakar b'tzayin, u'b'yayin b'sheicher. Apparently there's a miyut here. The pasuk is coming to limit your allowance. Miyut. So we have a riba and we have miyut. Then the pasuk concludes with another very inclusive statement. You can purchase anything that you desire. The pasuk comes back with a very inclusive statement. Riba umiyat v'riba. The pasuk included, then limited, and then included again. Apparently, the pasuk here is telling us what you purchase with Masasheni funds doesn't need to conform, doesn't need to be very similar to those items mentioned in that pasuk. Because look, I'm coming back and including anything. Riba hakayil, anything, even if it's not really similar to those items mentioned in the pasuk. My Rabbi, what did the pasuk include? Rabbi Kol Mili. The pasuk intended on including anything, any food item. But nevertheless, the Torah does give us some limitation here. Why else would the pasuk specify these 4 items? Apparently the pasuk is telling us, although what you purchase doesn't need to really have to contain all the elements, the characteristics of those items mentioned in the pasuk, but nevertheless, it can't be totally and completely dissimilar from those items. Umay miyut. What was the pasuk coming to exclude? Apparently, something which is inanimate, something which is not produced by something which in itself is produced. Meaning, you have the animals here, bakar b'tzoyin, you have the yayin, the sheikha, the wine. They all have this element that they're a pri from a pri. They're a fruit, they're produced, an offspring of something which in itself is an offspring of something else. So the animal is an offspring of its mother, which is an offspring of its mother. The grapes are produced from the seeds, which themselves were produced by different seeds. So at least you need to conform to that. It needs to be something which has been produced by something else, which in itself was produced. So what is it coming to exclude? Coming to exclude salt water, which is an inanimate thing. It's not been produced by something else. Umay miyut. The Reb Lezer miyut sir. Going to Reb Lezer, it's going to exclude salt water and even sir, which is a fish brine. Although it has some slight element of fish in it, it has the fish fattiness in it. That's not enough for it to be considered a fish product. We regard it as merely salt water, and therefore it's excluded from the allowance. Rabbi Ben Gadish, he holds even sir is allowed since it has some sort of fish extract in it, which is sufficient to deem this a fish product. And since fish is certainly a primi pri, it's been generated, it's been produced by something which in itself is a product of something else. Therefore, fish is suitable to be purchased, and even this sir is regarded as a fish product. So what then is the pasuk coming to exclude? Miyut mayim melach, mere water or salt water, which doesn't have any additional elements in it like this fish extract. So both agree that salt water is not on the approved list. They both agree that fish is suitable to be purchased. Regarding the tzir, we have a local machlekes. Do we consider it to be a fish product or not? But both Reb Lezer and Yehuda and Gadish hold that fish can be purchased. So that's their approach, employing the concept of riboy umiyut, and the Torah is including anything, any food item, just coming to exclude one thing, something which is not a product, something which has not been generated by something else, which was generated by its producer. So that's referring to, for instance, salt or water. V'hani tanai, as opposed to the other tanaim, which don't allow fish to be purchased, it's because they employ a different formula. Darshi klaliu prati. They employ the formula called klal prat, and klal means generalization, and prat means specification. This Tanya is we learned in the Bryce. Getting back to that pasuk when Asata Kesef, b'chol asher ta'ava nafshecha. The pasuk here is being very inclusive. Klal, it's a generalization. You can go ahead and purchase anything with your Ma'aser Sheni money. Then the pasuk limits things, details it, specifies it. But bakar, ubetzayin, animals, uba yain, uba shecher, in different forms of wine. Prat. Here we have a detailed list. Ubechol asher teshalcha nafshecha. The pasuk includes with a general term. You can purchase anything you desire. Chazer v'kolal. We have a general term with which the pasuk concludes. So we have klal, The pasuk begins with a generalization. Uprat, then a detailed list. Uklal concludes with another general term. How am I to apply this? Says the Gemara, let's take a look at the common characteristic found amongst all those listed on that list. And anything you wish to purchase with Meiser money needs to contain that element within it. Yatadon ela prat needs to be similar to the details on that list. What is the common denominator between all those found on that list? The animals, the wine. Ma prat mefurish. Just as the common denominator in the prat is as follows. Pri pri. It's an offspring, a produce of a produce. Meaning the animal was produced by its mother, which was produced by its mother. The grapes, which were grown from pits, which were produced by other grapes. So they're pri, that's number one. Number two, ugdule karka. They're sustained by the ground. They get their nourishment from the karka. So we have two elements there. Afko, likewise, anything that you'd like to purchase needs to contain both these elements. Pri, an offspring from an offspring, ugdule karka, and nourished from the ground. Tani idach, we have another brayso which offers a slightly different formula. Ma'aprat nefurish, just as the common denominator amongst all those specified in the pasuk is vlades haaretz. They were an offspring of something which was created from the earth, animals which created from the earth during the days of creation, plants, afkal, likewise, anything you'd like to purchase needs to have that criteria. Vlades haaretz, an offspring of something which was created from the earth. So in summary, putting both braysos together, we seem to have three characteristics which are vital to allow something to be purchased from Meiser Sheni money. It needs to be an offspring of an offspring, something sustained from the ground, and something which was initially created from the earth. As the Gemara concludes, this apparently is coming to exclude fish, which are not sustained by the earth, and were not created initially during the days of creation of the earth, rather created from water. So in summary, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish and Rabbi Lezer applied the formula called ribui miyut ribui. The pasuk initially begins with a all-inclusive statement. Anything can be purchased. Then gives us a list, bakar tzoyin, yain v'shecher, which is limiting it. Apparently, only something which is similar to these may be purchased. And then the pasuk concludes with another ribui. Apparently, the pasuk is telling us it doesn't really need to be so similar to those four items. Only something which is absolutely dissimilar to those items must be left out of the list. What is that? Water, salt, because they're not a produce from a produce. They're not a pri. Therefore, Yehuda says the pasuk is being a mayit, mayim, melach, or even if you mix them together. But brine, sear, that's okay since it contains some sort of fish element in it. It's considered to be a fish product, and a fish is certainly considered to be pri. That's a product from a product, and therefore is included in the approved list. Which Rabbi Lezer maintains that even sear, even this fish brine is not included because the fish element there is so insignificant. We regard this simply as just plain salt water, and therefore is excluded from the pasuk. Whereas the other Tanaim employ a different formula called klal prat klal. Torah begins with a general term, anything can be purchased. Then gives us detail, specifies only these items, bakar tzayin, yain v'shecher. Then concludes with another general term. The pasuk here is teaching us something which conforms, which contains these characteristics found in all these items. Let's determine what is the common denominator, and that will determine the formula of what can be purchased with Meiser Sheni money. So we have three characteristics: pri, gedule karka, and vlades haaretz. That's going to exclude fish, which are not sustained by the ground and not initially created from the earth. Okay, time for a brief review of today's daf. We began with the Mishnah that told us that mayim and melach, water and salt, are not suitable for erev. They're not considered to be sustenance, mazon. If a person makes a neder from mazon, he's mutter in mayim and melach. A person cannot purchase mayim and melach with Meiser Sheni funds because they're not pri, they're not a produce from another produce, and therefore, as we just learned in the Gemara, they're excluded from the pasuk. The Mishnah concluded that a person can make an erev with wine, even for a nazar, because it's suitable for other people. Regarding using truma for Yisrael, we have a machlekes. A kohen can place his erev even in the Beis HaPras, because theoretically he has access there. Regarding in the Beis HaKfaros, we have machlekes. The Gemara proceeds to tell us in the name of Yochanan, sometimes when a Tana gives us a general rule, it's not necessarily conclusive. And even if the Tana specifically gives us an exception list, afilu b'makom shenema bechutz, for example, in our Mishnah, where the Tana says any food can be used for an erev except for water and salt. There's something missing from that list. Kmeina pitris, forms of mushrooms, which cannot be used for an erev as well. The Gemara proceeded to tell us what can be purchased with funds of Meiser Sheni, You can't use it to purchase water or salt. But you can purchase salt water which has oil within it. So although you're including in the price of the oil the value of the salt water, that's okay. That's called havla, which is derived from the pasuk of a bakar b'tzayin b'yayin b'shechar. The bakar teaches us you can purchase the animal together with its skin. Fish brine, according to Eruvin and Gadish, that's considered to be a fish product and can be purchased from Ma'aser Sheni money. According to Blazer, that's not considered to be a significant amount of fish extract, and therefore we regard it simply as salt water and is unsuitable to be purchased. Brine, which contains kirei dagim, those finished innards, all agree, Eruvin and Gadish and Blazer, that can be purchased with Ma'aser Sheni funds, since that's considered to be a proper fish product. Now regarding the general question, can one purchase fish with Ma'aser Sheni funds? According to the above mentioned Tanaim, the answer is yes. According to other Tanaim, the answer is no. And it's based on their respective approaches and how to apply the drasha to the pasuk.